Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're stepping into the incredibly vital world of NGO work across Africa, I already know you've got the passion. The drive is there. But here's the million-dollar question. How do you actually prove your community interventions are working? Well, that's exactly what we're tackling today. We're going to break down SMART indicators and the results chain reference sheet and show you exactly how they help you prove real, lasting change. Let's get right to it. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to ask yourself a tough question right now. Are your project indicators actually measuring anything? It's a super common trap, actually. You look through these massive project documents, and they're just full of beautiful, vague hopes, like, women are empowered or the community is healthier. And don't get me wrong, those are wonderful goals. But they are hopes. They're not indicators. Two honest people could look at the exact same community, read those statements, and totally disagree on whether they actually happened. Take a classic vague hope, for example. Farmers are better off. I mean, what does better off even mean? It's completely subjective. Now, compare that to a really precise metric. Percentage of trained farmers reporting higher maize yield. See the difference there? An honest, effective indicator is precise. It's so precise, in fact, that anyone measuring it, whether it's you, your manager, or a colleague in the field, arrives at the exact same answer. So the ultimate filter to turn those weak statements into something rock solid is the SMART test. Let's walk through it real quick. Specific means naming exactly what, who, and where you're measuring. Measurable gives you a clear unit, like a number or a percentage. Achievable, that means setting a realistic target based on the time and budget you actually have. Relevant ensures it truly reflects the change you care about. And time-bound simply tells you by when. Honestly, if your indicator passes this test, anyone can measure it. Now, indicators don't just float around in a vacuum, right? They sit at every single level of your results chain. Let's move to and see how this builds. We progress from output to outcome and finally all the way up to impact. The golden rule here is pretty simple. You need to choose at least one indicator for every single level you intend to claim in your project. Let's break these down, starting right at the bottom with the output level. Output indicators simply count what you physically delivered. Think of a coastal wash project. An output indicator here would just be the exact number of boreholes drilled in that coastal district. It's the immediate, tangible product of your work. Did you drill the borehole? Yes or no? And how many? Simple as that. But listen, we don't just want to drill boreholes, pack up our trucks, and walk away. We want behavior to change. And that brings us to the outcome level. This measures whether people are actually using what you delivered. So, staying with our coastal community, the outcome indicator becomes the share of households actually utilizing that newly drilled safe drinking water source. It's measuring that immediate shift in human behavior. Finally, we reach the top of the chain, the impact level. This measures the long-term, lasting change in people's lives. For that coastal wash project, it might be a measurable fall in cases of waterborne disease. Or, say you're running a pastoralist resilience program in the drylands of northern Kenya. Your impact indicator might be the share of households keeping their herds alive through a harsh drought season. This right here, this is the ultimate goal of your everyday NGO reality. Now, as you're tracking all these different levels, you're going to need two totally different kinds of indicators, quantitative and qualitative. And trust me, you really need both. Quantitative is all about the numbers, how much and how many. Qualitative describes quality and perception, and it often tells us the why. Let's imagine you're running a girls' education project in the Upper East. Quantitative data gives you the hard numbers, like the share of girls who stayed in school all year. But then you hear a quote like, "I feel safe on the journey to school." And this brilliantly illustrates the real power of qualitative data. It captures the human perception behind those hard numbers. The quantitative number tells you that retention rose, which is great, but the girls' own words help tell you exactly why they stayed, and more importantly, whether your project is the actual reason. Okay, so to make any of this actually work in the real world, you absolutely need three key things. The first, a baseline. This is simply the value of your indicator before the project even begins. Think about it. It is literally impossible to prove you've changed anything if you don't know where you started. If you never recorded how many girls were enrolled at the start of that education project, you can never confidently show that more are enrolled at the end. Make sense? The second piece of the puzzle is your target. This is the specific value you are aiming to hit by a set time. But here is the catch, and it's a big one. A target must be set honestly. You can't just pluck some happy, impressive-sounding number out of thin air. It has to be realistic, and it has to be weighed directly against your project's actual budget and timeline. The third piece is the means of verification. Now, I know that sounds like a bunch of heavy M&E jargon, but really it's just asking a simple question. Where is this data actually coming from? In everyday field reality, this means pointing directly to your source. Is it a school attendance register? Is it a household survey? Or maybe it's digital records collected by your field officers using Kobo Toolbox. You have to specify exactly where that proof lives. So the crucial point here is you absolutely must disaggregate your data. Always. Always break your numbers down by sex, by age, location, and disability whenever you possibly can. Why? Because a broad average can hide the very people your project was meant to reach in the first place. For instance, you could successfully train, say, 200 farmers. Sounds great. But without disaggregated data, you might never realize you reached almost no women. So what exactly pulls all of these moving parts together? Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is how it solves a huge headache. Because different people will collect the same indicator over time, you desperately need a shared definition. Enter the indicator reference sheet. It's basically your master blueprint. It puts the indicator name, results level, unit, disaggregation, baseline, target, and means of verification all on one single page. It guarantees that a field officer in one district is measuring things the exact same way as a colleague working 50 miles away. So, I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thoughts. Take a hard look at your own project documents today. I mean, really look at them. Are you truly proving your impacts, or are you just sort of hoping for it? I really encourage you to take the SMART test and apply it to your own work right now. Because when you turn those vague hopes into real, measurable indicators, you don't just write better reports, you prove real change for the communities you serve. Thank you so much for joining this explainer, and keep up the amazing work out there.